What's up, guys? This is Jakob. I'm Content AI Manager and I'm helping small and medium enterprises around the world with their content strategy through AI technology. Welcome to a new episode of Content Mentorship. I'm the host of the show and I'm speaking with creators, authors around the world about their own strategy, how to create buzz for their own projects. So I'm very excited to speak today with Fred Joyal. He's speaker, author, he's an executive coach, and he's the co-founder of 1-800-Dentist, which became the largest dentist referral service in the country. We are also going to speak about his newest book, Super Bold, From Underconfident to Charismatic in 90 Days, which is an Amazon and Wall Street Journal bestseller. And we have to speak about how he bet Sir Richard Branson in chess and also how he lost $250,000 on Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grade? So welcome, Fred, to the show. How are you doing?
Very good, Jakob. Excited to have this conversation.
Yes, that's really cool to have you on the show. So, for all the listeners, can you introduce yourself in a nutshell? So, who is Fred, and why are you doing the things that you're doing?
I don't know why I'm doing most of the things I'm doing,
Okay.
but some of the business things I can explain. But I started in the advertising business many years ago, started as a copywriter in an ad agency, and then realized I wanted to run my own business and had the opportunity to start 1-800-Dentist, which at the time, dentists were just starting to advertise. And this was in the 80s. And so my partner and I put together a small group of dentists, ran some radio ads, set up a little call center, and we got 50 phone calls the first day. And we realized, wow, we're really onto something. And so we dialed it up and up. We just kept pouring the money back in. We weren't profitable for about 3 years, but it just took off, became a nationwide business. And somebody said, well, I sold it about 5 years ago. And somebody said, well, how much money did you generate in aggregate over 30 years? And I added up and it was a little over $1 billion in total revenue. And he said, you're the $1 billion man. I was like, well, I don't have most of that, but it was kind of remarkable to think about, but it was extremely successful. And then television became a medium that wasn't as effective. Google disintermediated our business, essentially. But it was very successful for a long time. I wrote a couple of books on marketing for my industry, started doing a lot of speaking. So I've been speaking about 15 years. And about 10 years ago, I got sparked into talking about boldness and how you can cultivate it, because I didn't think it was something that could be learned, because I was very shy growing up. And I figured out over the years how to do it, how to become bolder and bolder and bolder, and realized how much better my life was because of it. So I started figuring out how can I teach this? And eventually I boiled it down to what is in the new book, which is a systematic way that anyone can increase their confidence and boldness in a radical way. So that's where I am now. And I'm very passionate about helping people, because it really has an impact on their lives. If they do become bolder, they learn how to bring their full self to the world and don't miss opportunities and don't stack up regrets in the course of their life. So that's me right now.
Awesome. So, in a very nutshell. So, the first thing I ask. So, we are going to speak about the bold topic, indeed. But what I ask myself, why dentists? I mean, this is a business that is now in the past, but this was the question that I asked myself.
I ask myself this all the time too, because and people say to me, they say, when I advise business people now, they say, you don't understand, my product is really hard to sell. And I say, I had to sell people going to the dentist. Okay. Your product is not hard. My product was hard. So, but it was really something random. A friend of mine had that toll-free number it was 800-Dentist, that spelled out dentist. He didn't know what to do with it exactly. But he said, you were working in advertising, you could turn this into a business. And And I said, well, I'm not going to work with you because you don't work. So I'll take the phone number. And another friend of mine who was really interested in trying something new. And we were young and dumb enough to think we could pull it off. And so what happened is we found that the dentists were really receptive to it because they were not good at marketing and advertising themselves. They were good at being dentists. And the better the dentist, the worse he or she was at promoting herself. And so we became this essential product for them. And then we started to help them with all the other stuff as time came on. We also helped them with websites and their social media and things like that, and said, look, you have to have, as that digital presence became more and more important, we would help them with that too, and then drive patients to, a lot of times, to their website rather than to their office. But eventually the business was harder and harder to be profitable. It was great. Because and I have a lot of great friends who are dentists now, and I haven't paid for dentistry in a really, really long time. Awesome. Because of it. Yeah. So that's another bonus.
What was, so from a copy standpoint, I mean, copywriting is from a content standpoint, very interesting. From a copy standpoint, was there a big lesson that you learned through this dentist experience? I mean, you were young, you were motivated. That's what I heard from you saying. But was there a big lesson that you learned from this dentist use case?
What happened for me I worked in a lot of businesses before, because I was very without direction in my life. So I worked in all different jobs before I finally found advertising, which I loved. And I said, oh, wow, this is a career I could do and get excited about. But that all working for all these businesses, when I came into the ad agency, I understood the business person's perspective, and I understood that the advertising had to drive customers, had to drive sales, or build the brand, or it didn't matter how clever it was. So I learned not to just be creative for creative's sake, because there's tons of commercials that have done that. They're brilliant, amazing to watch, and they don't move the needle at all. They don't increase sales one bit. Yes. And so when I started 800 Dentist, I said, we got to focus completely on what makes the phone ring, what makes the right people call this phone number. And we learned over and over again to be clear and be simple, because we had a memorable phone number, because that's the other thing you want to be. But every time we started to get really clever, really creative, the calls would drop off. And so we would circle back and say, okay, let's just tell them what we do, and they'll remember it if they need it. And so that's really important to learn, because it's really, I meet people all the time. They create a brand name. A friend of mine, she has a business and she calls it Swiss Monkey. And it's a recruiting business for the dental industry. And I went like, okay, it's one thing to have to explain your name, but it's another thing to explain it and it still doesn't make any sense. Tell people what you do as quickly as possible, because you got about a quarter of a second to grab their attention at this point. Yeah. You got to find a way to stick in their mind. And she'll even go to conventions and it'll just say Swiss Monkey on the banner. Like, people walk right by. They can't figure out what the heck she is. But that's what people do all the time. They're really not good at clear messaging.
Yeah, exactly. So I had a friend who found this company. His name. So it's not Epic, but Brepic, and it's based on his name. But he says that all the people who read the name, who read Epic, thinks automatically about him and his business. So for him, it worked out. But oftentimes, it can be hard.
You're too obscure or too clever. If you have to explain it, your brand name doesn't work. basically.
uh,
So
uh, okay, cool. So what you mentioned is in the past. So when we come to the topic of boldness, so you said you were shy in your younger years.
yeah,
It's hard to.
in my
It's,
as a teenager and as a young man, and up into my 30s, even that I was missing opportunities with with business, with meeting interesting people, with women, all of that stuff, and then eventually it just made me frustrated and angry, and I started to emulate successful, bold people. And I said, wow, because I couldn't understand why they were like that. I was just like, are they born this way? And then I realized I just had to be comfortable being uncomfortable, because then I
yeah,
would get comfortable, and I would expand my comfort zone just by doing these bold things that I was anxious about or nervous about. Eventually I became a public speaker, and can speak on a stage with 5,000 people, and I can't wait to get out there. I've totally moved onto the other side of it, but it happens very gradually. And that's what I created in the book, was like, how do you approach this systematically, so that you get bolder and bolder, that you don't panic and retreat and hide back in your shell the rest of your life because you overwhelmed yourself. But I had moments where I really regretted something, missed an opportunity. Like, because in life, this is what you learn is these windows close. They don't stay open until you're ready to step through them. Sometimes it's like you'll see, let's say you'll see a really successful business person. You say, I really want to talk to her. I really want to meet her. And you think about it for 10 minutes, and then somebody else starts talking to her and walks her away, and you go, I'm an idiot. What was I waiting for? But it's like, we go through this whole process. Bold people don't do that. They walk over and start talking. And I wanted to be that. And that's all I got myself to there, because I was sick of not being that.
Yeah. You're also giving this workshop, right? So the Super Bold workshop. First, when I read this, I read Super Bowl workshop, and
Yeah, it's like, we're going to teach you how to play football. Yeah.
exactly.
No, that's why I got to tell people. It's like, say the D at the end, or they're going to get confused, right? He wrote a book about the Super Bowl, from dentistry to football. It makes no sense. How did he get there? No, it's super bold. It's the superpower of boldness that I'm helping people to cultivate. And so the workshop is a 2-day, very intense workshop, very interactive. More than intense, you're going to go learn how to shift your mindset, and then go through these experiences and develop some communication skills, and then start to experiment with certain things in a very safe environment. But you're going to come away with the tools to just say, I know how to build my boldness, and I've done these things already that I didn't think I could do, just in this workshop. And so as soon as you start to do these bold things, you create a positive feedback loop, because you realize you're wrong about how bad things are going to go, because that's what people are constantly listening to, the voice in their head that says, oh, it's going to be embarrassing, you're going to fail, you're going to be humiliated, people are going to laugh at you. Most of the time, that's not what happens. But even if it does, bold people go, something to learn from this, not a big deal. They don't take it on. It's just a step up. It's just a process of living for them. They're not expecting to be perfect. A lot of people get really trapped in perfectionism. I can't really go out there until I look perfect, or I have the perfect things to say, or I sing well, or whatever the heck it is that they focus so much on being perfect. Bold people perfect themselves by doing stuff. And when you learn how to do that, and you realize trying, even though you fail, is very satisfying. Not trying is very unsatisfying. Trying and succeeding obviously is great.
Yeah, makes totally sense. So this iterative process that you learn through the journey and through the doing makes totally sense. Yeah. But did you have one defining moment in the past where you said, okay, I have to shift this whole thing, or something something happened and you said, okay, I have to go to this workshop where I teach myself boldness or something. Did something like that happen to
Well,
you?
what happened was in the ad agency, because it was it was an area that I felt comfortable, because I knew I could write, and I knew I was getting better at it, but I was able to really write, and I started to get really confident about my concepts, my ideas. And so they would bring me into pitch sessions with the clients, and I would pitch them with real passion and enthusiasm, and they would buy it because of my enthusiasm. Sometimes it wasn't that great, but my presentation was strong enough. So I said, wow, this is really working for me, that when I bring the full me out, like them talking to my friends or something like that, it impacts people. And it was just that click right then that said, oh, I can be me, but a fully animated, elevated version of myself, the full me, bring it to wherever I want. Now, it took me years to do that in all sorts of situations. But I mean, the trigger was probably a woman that I had met, I had known, and we had been friends, and I felt like it could have been a relationship, but I was too hesitant to speak up. And then I found out after she got married, she mentioned to a friend of hers, at the time I was really interested in Fred, but he never spoke up. But she said I was really, I think I could have been in love with him. And that was like, oh, that's terrible to hear something like that. I wish I never knew that, except that was the impetus to just say, all right, that's it. I'm going to speak up. However it's going to go, I am not shutting up. I am never going to be the one to stop me anymore. And that's a big thing. When you stop stopping yourself, it's really powerful.
Awesome. Really cool. So can you tell maybe one or two strategies? If I would not define myself as a very shy person, but maybe when introverts are listening to this, what lessons would you share? Maybe one or two tactics to become more bold?
Yeah. So what I tell everyone is if you want to get started, wherever you are at, talk to a stranger every day. And if that's really challenging for you, just say hi. If that's really challenging, just smile at 5 people a day. And 3 of them, 4 of them will smile back. You told yourself nobody was going to smile back. They were going to think you were crazy, but they're not. People will smile back. And also you learn, if they don't smile back, to not take it on. It's got nothing to do with you. This could be the worst day of their life. And you start to get this perspective, but you start to get the feedback of like, wow, it feels pretty good to smile at people. And a whole bunch of them are smiling back. I don't need them all to smile back. But then start to talk to strangers, even if it's just one syllable. Hi. Just they're standing in front of you in line at the coffee shop or something like that, or in the grocery store. Just say hi. Next, but talk to a stranger every day. Like, have that be your thing, and then do it 2 or 3 or 4 times. I love talking to people in elevators because nobody talks in elevators.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
I just start talking, and everybody sort of acknowledges the weirdness of how we stand there silently in the elevator.
What exactly are you saying in the elevator? Just curious.
Well, it depends. If they have some interesting clothing on or something like that, or a purple hair or whatever, I'm going to compliment them on that. I'm going to say that purple hair is really working for you. I don't think I could pull it off, but it looks great on you. And they're just going to say, oh, thank you. This is how I've gotten. This is how crazy I've gotten. If I see something that I think is super weird on somebody, because we all walk around having judgments about everybody all the time, right? That guy looks stupid in that hat. That woman should never wear that color. We have all of this stuff, right? That we run in our heads, which is very crazy of us, but we all do it. So I take the thing that is I'm bothered by or have a judgment about, and I force myself to come up with a compliment for the person. I'll say, that bull ring in your nose just looks really good. That looks really great. In my mind, I'm not agreeing with myself, but they smile when I say it because obviously they thought it was a good idea. They think it looks good.
So for all the listeners, so if you meet Fred in an elevator and he compliments you, it's not really what you think about you.
It's the weirdest thing about you. Yes, be warned already.
Just for the record.
If I said that color looks great on you, you probably should never wear it again.
Yeah. Okay. But the intention is good. Okay. That's the important thing. Yeah. Awesome. Okay. So yeah, I'm just thinking because we were last month in Florida, and in the elevator, I oftentimes have this feeling that I'm not sure. So if there are kids, we always talk with the kids or something. But yeah, I listen to my gut feeling but sometimes I also speak with them.
Yeah, you don't want to come off as a child molester or something like that.
Yeah,
that
you have to be careful.
Out. Yeah. But I'll give you an interest. It happened in an elevator. I got in this elevator in my building, and this 4-year-old girl is there with her mother, and she's got her little bicycle and her funny helmet on. And it was a unicorn helmet. So I said, "Oh, I really love your helmet." She goes, "Oh, yes, it matches my bike." And I said, "Do you want to push my floor?" Because kids love to push the elevator buttons. She said, "Yes." I said, "Yeah, it's number 4." And she says, "Oh, you're only 1 floor away from us. We can come up and visit." And I thought, that was so sweet, right? And it was just, and I said, "Yeah, you can meet my cat. What's your cat's name?" "Cookie." "Oh, that's funny." We had this little exchange. But I thought, why did that work so well? And it's because, now if I got in the elevator and an attractive woman got in the elevator and pushed the floor above mine, I'd say, "Hey, we're only 1 floor away. I can come up and visit." She would assume I have an agenda.
Yes.
But this young girl had no agenda. We're going to play. And so when you learn to meet people without any agenda, without any concern of the outcome, for any outcome except connecting with that human being, make them feel good about themselves, maybe make them feel interesting and learn something about them and connect. Forget trying to network and what can I gain from this person, or who else could I talk to that would be more interesting than this person. When you do that, they open right up. And so it's a great shift that people, even when people do it and they say, "Oh, I'm so shy, but I really want to meet that person. He's so attractive or she's so attractive." And they're coming in fully loaded, like they're ready to turn it into a relationship because they think that person looks right. And what bold people have met enough people, they go, "There's all kinds of people. And just because this woman's attractive doesn't mean I will be interested in her 15 minutes later." But when you don't do that, you think, "This is the girl of my dreams and I have to meet her." And then, of course, you trip over your tongue when you finally talk to her because you have a huge agenda. You have the wedding planned in your mind already. And so lose the agenda. It's really critical. It makes a huge difference when you're meeting people.
Yeah, I think just being present is one key. So oftentimes, I mean, it's like a play. She gives you something, or he gives you something, some material through the words that the person is saying, and then you're reacting, and it's like a dance. And
and I'll tell you a very powerful thing to do is when they tell you something, instead, like they say, I love to ask people, "What's the most interesting thing you've done in the past month or so?" And so if they say, "Oh, I just went to Rome and saw the Vatican and stuff like that," and what people normally do is they come back and they tell about their experience in Rome or their vacation that they went on. Instead, say, "Tell me more about this trip in Rome. I'm really curious. Like, did you find a restaurant you liked? Tell me about the hotel. Tell me more." If you do that, suddenly now you're interesting because you're pulling your stuff out of them. I've had people think I'm fascinating, and they'll tell other people, it's like, I just met Fred. He's a really amazing guy. They know nothing about me because I just learned everything about them. I just asked them.
Yeah.
I was interested in everything they said, and I just said, tell me more about that. Instead of saying, I went to Rome and I got a private tour of the Vatican and met the Pope, and I kissed
Like a
his ring, and
competition.
everyone's like, and they got nothing. They go, I just ate a lot of gelato. They don't feel like they went to Rome anymore. They don't feel like it was a big deal. I tried to top them with my story. It's not a great way to interact with people socially. It's a turnoff. So I do the opposite. I stop and I say, let me find out more about them. Now I may add something to it, but if I find myself talking a lot about something, I'll stop and I'll say, I'm really passionate about my book, so I like to talk about it. But tell me more about, what else you did when you were in Italy. I'll stop myself and circle back and ask them something. Asking open-ended questions is really powerful when you're meeting people.
Yeah.
You don't have to think of what to say. You get 3 words. Tell me more. Works like magic.
Yeah. This reminds me of what Brendon Burchard, one of marketing gurus, said. It's more interest. So if you are interested, it's easier to be interested in the person than being interesting. So if you're interested in speaking with other people, they become interested in you automatically. So it's like,
if you want to be interesting, be interested, and that's and that's really it. Is you have to. People think I have to be really interesting, and they overload the pressure on themselves to be interesting. I'm going to this party. I have to figure out how to be interesting to all these people. No, you don't. You just have to be nice. Just have to be friendly. Just have to be curious. That's all you're going to need to meet anybody you want in the room.
Yeah.
And I found that I've met billionaires, I've met all sorts of people, and I talk to them like a human being, and they love it. But I don't interview them. I don't interrogate them. I don't need a selfie with them. I don't do all that dumb stuff. And what happens is I create a connection.
Which is the most important thing.
Yeah,
basically. But I'm just curious. So you mentioned billionaire. So Sir Richard Branson, he lost in chess. So can you please tell this story?
This is a bit of a boldness example as well, because I was on his island, Necker Island, in the Caribbean. I was there with several business people. About 30 of us were there. And sometimes he's there and sometimes he's not. And he was there and we were playing tennis. A group of us were playing tennis and he would come in and out and play. And I ruptured my Achilles tendon playing tennis. And I was stuck. I couldn't do anything and I couldn't leave. My surgeon said, it's not going to heal itself. You might as well stay and enjoy the island for the rest of the week. And so I'm sitting on the couch watching people play. I'm on the sidelines. And Richard comes over and he says, "Oh, this is such a bother that this has happened to you. Do you happen to play chess?" And now I haven't played chess in like 35 years. So the correct answer is no, right? Or the shy Fred answer, the unbold Fred answer would have been, "Oh no," because I would have played really badly. It would have been ridiculous because he loves playing chess. He's hooked on it, right? He plays with anybody anytime. And so I instead of letting myself I'm going to embarrass myself. It's going to be humiliating. He's going to think I'm stupid. I said, yeah, I play chess. And so he has somebody bring a chessboard over and he sits down on the couch next to me and we play. And I'm playing such an unorthodox game because I have no strategy at all. I'm just sort of like in the moment playing. He can't figure out what the heck I'm doing. And it was so unorthodox that I ended up beating him. And he just looked at the board and he was like, I said, that's actually check. Oh, well, it's checkmate, in fact. It's like, what? And he calls me a name and he sets the board up immediately to play again. and then we just started talking. He's very politically involved, and so we got into this whole conversation about American politics, and for the next 3 or 4 days, he would find me to play chess and chat with me, all because I said, "Yeah, I play chess," rather than go, "Oh, I'm not that good. I don't want to play." And I was not the hesitant Fred anymore. And that's what can come from it. Because, I mean, he's one of the people I admire the most in the world as a business person, as a person. He's a great family man. He's an incredible philanthropist. He's an incredibly creative, bold business person and marketer, treats his people incredibly well. And I get to spend time. I'm spending so much time when the people were complaining to me. They say, "Hey, you're hogging all the opportunities, to spend time with Branson." I said, "He's coming to me." It's like, should I tell him to go away? I don't think I'm going to do that. But that's what can happen. And it's just a great example of stop listening to the dumb stuff that's stopping you from experiencing a full life. To go into I really don't know what I'm doing. Maybe I'll go in there and see if I can figure it out.
Yeah. So what I thought is it not a little bit like cheating, or is this already the self-talk that we try to overcome through the boldness? What do you think? So
yeah, see, you've already found a story to tell yourself to keep you from being bold. It's like, oh no, that's really cheating. No, it's not. We have had tons of negative input in our childhood from all sorts of people who don't want us to succeed, people who are jealous of us, people who are competitive with us, and a whole bunch of people who are trying to protect us, our parents. Don't talk to strangers. Watch out, you might get hurt. Be careful. Don't be a show off. All of this, they say all of these things to us at a very young age, and they say it a lot. So when you hear it over and over again, you think, oh, I don't want to be that. I don't want to be, my parents disapprove of that. But actually, most of the time, your parents aren't that bold, and they've missed out on a lot of life themselves. They have no idea how to teach you how to be confident and bold in your life. So they actually inhibit that. Because I see many, many children who are bold. And it's slowly getting beaten out of them by their parents. And it's like saying, you ask any 5-year-old if they can dance. They say yes. Can they sing? Yes. And they will dance and sing for you. You ask that same kid at 10, oh no, I can't dance. I can't sing. Because now they suddenly have learned to care about what everybody thinks. Except the few bold people who realized it doesn't matter what most people think. There's several people whose opinions matter to me. And then the rest of the people, it doesn't matter at all what they think, because they're wrong. Do they know me? Why would I worry about it? If they're all laughing at me, do they really know me? Maybe I'm actually being funny. Maybe, or I'm just an imperfect being moving through the world just like them. Except they're afraid to move because they're not perfect yet. But I'm imperfectly going through my life to get better and to seize every opportunity for fun, for connection, for success, for fulfillment. That's what real boldness is about, is not stacking up the regrets. So at the end of your life, you say, well, I wish I'd tried that, and wish I had done that, wish I had said that. And that's what, when you talk to old people, they don't have any regrets about stuff they did that went badly or were stupid. They have regrets about stuff they didn't do, that they didn't say. They didn't fix their relationship with their brother. They stayed in a feud with them for 20 years, and now they're dying. And they say, I should have made up with my brother. That was stupid. It was over nothing. I can't remember what it was, we were arguing about. And so when you hear that, you say, That's not what I'm going to do. I don't want those regrets. I don't want a litany of missed opportunities where I could have fixed something, I could have changed something, but I didn't speak up. I didn't stand up. I didn't try. Because trying and succeeding is great. Trying and not succeeding is pretty good. Not trying feels terrible. That's what will haunt you.
Yeah, love it. Very cool. Really cool. Yeah, nothing to add to that point.
That's really it. And then it's so important to just realize that most of the time nothing bad happens unless we decide to label it that way. And so one of the exercises I have people do is, if you see a sign that says employees only, go in. Nothing bad will happen. If it's unlocked, go in. And the most that's going to happen is somebody's going to say, this is for employees only. And you can say, well, I am an employee, just not here. The sign wasn't clear that it wasn't for all employees. I am an employee. They'll think you're an idiot, right? But so what? You weren't trying to do anything. You were just, it was an experiment to hear what you were saying to yourself as you approach the door. It's like, oh, I can't go in. There's a sign, or somebody's going to say something. Nobody's going to beat you to death on the other side. Most of the time, believe me, I've done this enough. Most of the time, nobody says anything. And you just walk in and look around and walk out. You're not there to steal anything. There's no crime involved. There's just this thing in your head. So it's an exercise in like, wow, I really make a big deal out of nothing. And then you realize, wow, I do that everywhere. Oh, I can't talk to this person in line at the coffee shop. They'll think I'm crazy. No, they won't. I mean, if you act crazy, they're going to probably think you're a little crazy and they'll move away. But if you say, wow, that suit looks great on you, you should wear that a lot. It's an amazing choice. They're not going to say, get away from me. They're going to say, thank you. I've complimented people on stuff where it changed their whole day. They'll say, oh, you know what? I dressed like this because I wasn't feeling that good about myself, and I thought I would just wear some bright colors. Thank you so much for telling me that this looks good on me. That's making my day. What a great thing to get to do. Just because I didn't want to sit there quietly. Well, of course, the color looked ridiculous on her, but let's not forget.
The elevator thing. Definitely. Awesome. Cool. So we're running a little bit out of time. So if people want to get to your book or to the Super Bold workshop, where should they go?
So go to fredjoyal.com. Joyal is my last name. And it's just all one, no dots or dashes or anything in between. And you can download the first chapter of the book. You can also order the book from there going to Amazon. It's on Amazon in hardcover and Kindle and Audible, and me reading the book. You can see a couple of my Boldness lectures there, and you can get all the information you want about the workshop if you were in the mood to fly to Los Angeles and transform your life in 2 days.
Yeah, in Santa Monica.
Yeah, it's a nice place to be in June or any other time, technically. But
yeah, awesome. And and when people want to get in connection, so how should they get in touch? Through LinkedIn, or what do you prefer?
Yeah, so I'm Fred Joyal everywhere. So Fred Joyal on LinkedIn, Fred Joyal on Facebook, on Instagram, on Snapchat, on Twitter. And if they want to have a conversation with me about the workshop, they can actually book a half an hour conversation with me on the website. Okay. And we'll talk about it and see if it's a good fit for them. Okay, cool. Awesome. Is there something else that you want to share? Something last? Just my parting thought is the only person you need permission from to have the most satisfying, fun-filled, love-filled, exciting, adventurous, life. The only person you need permission from is you.
Love it.
And that's it.
That's cool. Really love it. So Fred, really thank you for your time, and I think I will definitely do some things different tomorrow when I
Good.
execute stuff, and we'll think about it. And yeah, it was awesome. Thank you very much for your time, and to all the listeners, if you have any questions, please let us know in the chat, and I will forward to Fred, and yeah, get in connection, and we'll let you know the answers. Okay, thank you for listening and watching, and see you next time. Thank you.